The biggest parenting mistake is not being too strict. It is doing too much thinking for your child. What feels like help today can quietly become dependence years later. In the next few minutes, you'll see how ordinary daily habits teach a child either to think independently or to wait for someone else to think first. Your child walks into the room looking for their shoes. Before they even start looking, you point to the corner and tell them exactly where they are. A few minutes later, they ask what snack they should eat. Then they ask what they should do next. You answer every single question without thinking. Part of you knows they should learn to figure things out, but you're busy, you're tired, and answering takes just 3 seconds. The problem is not the question. The problem is the pattern. Many parents believe they are building confidence by helping quickly. What they may actually be building is a habit of waiting. Waiting for answers. Waiting for direction. Waiting for someone else to decide. This doesn't happen because parents are careless. It happens because the habits that create dependence often look exactly like good parenting. Today, you'll see how a child's thinking develops, how it quietly gets interrupted, and what small daily changes help build a mind that can function without constant guidance. Because independence is rarely lost through one big mistake, it is usually built or broken through hundreds of small moments that seem completely harmless. Most parents constantly worry about raising a rebellious child, someone who refuses to listen, but very few ever worry about raising a child who is passive, someone who just sits around, waiting to be told what to think. Think about a normal day in your house. Your child constantly asks minor questions from morning till night. Where is my backpack, Mom? What should I wear today? Or, what do I do next? And because you love them and want to save time, you instantly give them the answer. You tell yourself, it's just faster if I tell them instead of explaining everything. But right at that moment, a dangerous mechanism kicks in. The child's brain completely stops practicing how to search and evaluate information, because the solution always arrives before the effort even begins. Our mistake is thinking that dependence is a problem for the future. But the truth is, the trap is hiding right under our noses, disguised as cooperation today. Your child isn't being good. They are just getting comfortable waiting for commands instead of thinking for themselves. The easiest child to manage today might be the hardest child to let go of tomorrow. And that damaging dependence, ironically, usually starts with something parents love to call helping. The question seems harmless. The pattern isn't. Look at a scenario that plays out every single day in your house. Your child runs up and asks, Mom, where is my pencil box? You spot it instantly. And because you know the answer, you blurt it out. You tell yourself, why let them struggle when I already know the answer? But what you don't realize is, every time you give an answer too early, you take away a chance for them to think. You think you just answered a question. But the truth is, your child just lost a thinking repetition. When solutions are handed to them, the brain completely skips retrieval, observation, and problem solving. Over time, the child learns a damaging habit: to seek answers from others before ever seeking solutions within themselves. Fast answers save seconds and cost practice. But answering isn't the only shortcut parents take. Watching your child struggle feels deeply uncomfortable. That's exactly why so many thinking opportunities disappear. Think about when your child is stuck on a hard homework problem, a misplaced puzzle piece, or a tough chore. After just a brief pause, you step in and take over. You tell yourself, I don't want them to feel frustrated. But here is what happens. The problem-solving loop is interrupted before it can ever finish. Relief for you becomes dependence for them. The child begins doubting their own ability the very moment difficulty appears. The struggle you remove today is the confidence they never build tomorrow. And even when children make it through a challenge, many parents still interrupt the next step. Most parents believe correction creates learning. Sometimes it replaces learning. Imagine a scenario that happens all the time. Your child spills a glass of water, breaks a toy, or gets a simple math problem wrong. Immediately, you step in and explain exactly what should have happened. You tell yourself, I just want them to learn the right way. But here is the hidden cost. When your correction arrives first, reflection completely disappears. The brain never practices self-analysis. Being told what went wrong is not the same as discovering it. Instead of understanding the mistake, the child simply focuses on avoiding mistakes just to stay out of trouble. A lesson explained is weaker than a lesson uncovered. And this is usually the moment parents begin seeing themselves in the story. Some children look highly responsible, but look closer. Think about how many households run every single day. Parents choose the activities, the schedules, the clothing, and the priorities. The child simply follows along. You tell yourself, it's just easier if I decide. But what is actually happening? When you make every choice, the decision-making pathways in the brain receive zero practice. Obedience can easily hide a deep decision weakness. Children cannot develop judgment without actually making judgments. Over time, the child becomes deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty and terrified of responsibility. Many responsible-looking children are simply well-managed children. And that leads to a misunderstanding many parents never question. This is the uncomfortable part. The behavior parents praise most may not be the behavior life rewards most. Think about the pride you feel when your child rarely argues, rarely challenges, and never questions. You feel reassured. You tell yourself, my child never gives me trouble. But here is the harsh reality. Obedience and independent thinking are not the same skill. When a child always obeys, the brain becomes conditioned to external authority. Silence is not evidence of thinking. Instead, it is evidence of a child learning to surrender their mind for comfort. The cost is a future difficulty resisting peer pressure, influence, or manipulation. A child can be highly obedient and still be completely unprepared to think alone. So if thinking is not built through obedience, where is it built? Independent thinkers are not born different. They simply practice different mental habits. Imagine a completely new approach in your household. Instead of rushing with a solution, you intentionally pause when your child asks a question. Instead of taking over, you ask open-ended questions and allow them space to explore. Your go-to response becomes, "What do you think?" Right then, a quiet transformation happens. The child's brain repeatedly practices reasoning, evaluation, and judgment. Thinking is not taught first. It is practiced first. The ultimate payoff is that your child gradually builds a deep trust in their own thinking process. Children trust their minds only after using them repeatedly. And all of this leads to one future moment. One day, your child will face a decision you cannot make for them. That day is coming whether you're ready or not. Picture a moment in the future. No parents around, no teachers, no guidance available. Your child is standing at a high-pressure crossroads, facing a dangerous temptation or a tough crisis. You are miles away, left with only a desperate thought. I hope they make the right choice. But at that exact second, your child cannot rely on your hopes. They can only rely on the mental habits built across years in your household. The biggest parenting test happens after parenting is absent. Under pressure, either deep dependence or strong judgment will finally become visible. The future will reveal what your daily habits were teaching all along. And that brings us to the final truth. Independent thinking is not something you teach directly. It is something that forms in the space between your answer and their attempt. Most children are not failing to think. They are simply rarely given time where thinking is necessary. Some parents react fast because they want things to go smoothly. Other parents pause long enough for thinking to happen. The difference is not love, it is timing. You are not raising a child who listens to you. You are raising a mind that will eventually replace you in decision-making. Today, notice just one moment where you answered faster than necessary. Not to judge it, just to see it clearly. If this perspective helps you notice small patterns differently, you can stay with this channel for more ideas like this. No pressure. Most changes in children begin with parents noticing what they used to overlook.